Okay, let's dive right into this. We're looking at something that, by all logic, should be completely impossible. A country, still reeling from a major military conflict, has just set up a toll booth on one of the most critical international waterways on the entire planet. And you know what? The world is actually paying up.
Yep, that's the bottom line. We're talking about Iran, a nation that just suffered some serious military setbacks, somehow flipping the script entirely. They've created a system to charge millions of dollars for passage, basically tearing up decades of maritime law. The real question is, how on earth did they manage to pull this off?
So how does this whole thing actually work? Well, this isn't some chaotic rogue pirate operation. No. It's a fully formalized system, a transit permit regime run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It's essentially a bureaucracy built on coercion, and it has some very, very specific rules.
And this just lays out the whole process. It's a surprisingly sophisticated 5-step dance. First, you have to contact an approved intermediary a few days in advance. Then, you submit your ship for a full review. They look at your flag, your cargo, even your crew. After that, you negotiate a fee, which is averaging about $1 to $2 million bucks. Step 4, and this is crucial, you pay up, but only in Chinese yuan. Once that's done, you finally get a clearance code and an armed IRGC escort to guide you through a very specific corridor. It's a well-oiled machine.
So, who's actually paying this crazy toll? Well, get this. In a single month, a staggering 80% of the ships using this service were part of the so-called shadow fleet. You know, these are the vessels that operate outside of standard regulations, often moving sanctioned oil. That tells you pretty much everything you need to know about who the main customers are here.
And the system is also incredibly selective. It's like a VIP club with a very strict door policy. If your ship is flagged to a country Iran considers friendly, think China, Russia, India, you're in. But if you're from the US, the EU, Japan, or other Western allied nations, sorry, the strait is effectively closed for business.
The workarounds people are coming up with are just wow. In one case, Pakistan, which didn't have many of its own ships in the area, reportedly offered to reflag foreign tankers. You heard that right. They were basically offering to rent out the Pakistani flag to oil traders just so their ships could get a pass. We're talking about flag swapping for chokepoint access, a concept that would have sounded completely absurd just a little while ago.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, wait a minute, isn't this totally illegal? And the short answer is yes. Absolutely yes. This entire operation takes the rulebook of international maritime law, the one that's governed the seas for decades, and just rips it to shreds.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you have the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. UN close, it guarantees unrestricted passage. It explicitly prohibits charging fees. It forbids restrictions based on a ship's nationality. On the other side, you have Iran's toll, which violates every single one of those principles. Law has been replaced with leverage.
And that brings us to the core of their strategy. This isn't just about making a quick buck during a conflict. No, this is the weaponization of geography as a business model. Tehran is monetizing its physical location in a way we haven't really seen since the Ottoman Empire controlled the Bosphorus Strait. They're literally charging rent on global trade.
But hang on, because there's a much deeper story here. And frankly, it might be the most important part of this entire situation. It's not just about the toll itself. It's about how the toll gets paid. And this is where a regional power play starts to become a massive global financial challenge.
Because really, the payment mechanism is the real story. Iran isn't just collecting money here. They are dictating the currency and the financial system used to pay it. They are forcing a fundamental change in how a huge piece of the global energy market works.
Think about it. The fees are demanded exclusively in Chinese yuan. They are processed through China's own CIPS network, which is their alternative to the Western-dominated SWIFT system. What does that mean? It means every single one of these multi-million-dollar transactions is completely invisible to U.S. financial surveillance. And every payment helps deepen the ecosystem for trade that's settled in yuan, not dollars.
And this has created a brand new concept, forced de-dollarization. Iran is using its physical, military control over a choke point to compel traders to ditch the US dollar and use the Chinese yuan instead. It's not a suggestion, it's not a choice, it's the only way to get through. And that, my friends, is a direct challenge to the petrodollar system. You know, the whole arrangement that has linked global oil sales to the US dollar since the 1970s? That system has been an absolute cornerstone of American financial power. This toll booth, well, it creates a powerful new precedent for settling major energy trades completely outside of that dollar framework.
So let's zoom out for a second, because this is so much bigger than just Iran. What Tehran has successfully created is a proven, profitable, and most importantly, a highly replicable business model for any country that happens to sit on a critical artery of global trade.
And is it profitable? Oh, you have no idea. Estimates suggest Iran could be raking in anywhere from $10 to $30 million per day. For an economy that's been hammered by sanctions, that is a massive financial lifeline, and it's all generated at almost zero cost. But as incredible as that cash flow is for Iran, the real long-term impact here isn't the money, it's the model. Iran has provided a proof of concept. It's shown the world that you can hold a piece of the global commons hostage and successfully charge rent for its use.
And you can bet other countries are watching this very, very closely. I mean, just think about it. Egypt at the Suez Canal, Turkey at the Bosphorus, Indonesia and Malaysia at the Strait of Malacca. Or what about China and the South China Sea? Every nation controlling a strategic choke point now has a working template for how to monetize it.
Ultimately, this is the really uncomfortable truth we're left with. International law says one thing, but reality on the ground, or in the water, says something else entirely. And in this new era of choke point economics, it seems like reality is winning.
So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? What's really at stake here isn't just about the price of shipping oil. It's the entire post-World War II principle of freedom of navigation, the very foundation that global trade has been built on for nearly 80 years. That entire framework is now at risk.
Which leaves us with a gigantic question for the future. Is this a red line? Is this something that the world has to push back on and enforce the old rules? Or is this just the first of many new tolls, a new permanent cost of doing business, as the global order fractures and reforms right before our eyes?